If you're looking for an awesome product at a great price, be sure to check out the link in the description. Water company chief executives in England and Wales saw their average annual pay surge to a staggering £1 million in the last fiscal year, a 5% increase. This substantial rise comes despite a government-imposed ban on bonuses for several companies and widespread public anger over the industry's dismal environmental record. A Guardian analysis of 14 companies' annual reports reveals a collective executive compensation of £15 million for 2024 to 25, a 5% jump from the previous year's £13.8 million. This news ignites further controversy surrounding an already embattled sector. The water industry has faced intense scrutiny in recent years for its environmentally damaging practice of discharging raw sewage into Britain's rivers and seas. This, coupled with April's controversial bill increases sanctioned by the regulator, Ofwat, has fueled a firestorm of criticism from politicians and environmental activists alike. The latest pay figures cast doubt on the efficacy of government initiatives aimed at curbing executive compensation within the industry. Ofwat, the water services regulator, received expanded powers last year to mandate that shareholder funds, not customer bills, finance executive bonuses. This was further reinforced by June's regulations enabling a complete ban on bonuses for executives of companies demonstrating egregious environmental misconduct. One striking example of substantial pay increases is that of Keith Haslett, chief executive of Affinity Water, whose compensation more than doubled to £1.6 million, reflecting an increase of £844,000. Similarly, Bob Taylor, head of Portsmouth Water, saw his salary double to £754,000. This raises questions about the effectiveness of the bonus ban, prompting speculation on whether water companies have found ways to sidestep the new regulations. 6 companies, Thames Water, Anglian Water, Southern Water, United Utilities, Wessex Water, and Yorkshire Water, were specifically prohibited from awarding bonuses to their chief executives and chief financial officers for the 2024-25 financial year. The impact of this ban is evident in a reported 8% decrease in total pay to £5.5 million across these 6 suppliers. This drop was primarily driven by Thames Water, where CEO Chris Weston's compensation reached £1 million, a significant decrease compared to the preceding year's combined £1.7 million paid to him and his 3 predecessors. However, not all companies adhered to the spirit of the bonus ban. Southern Water, despite the restrictions, granted its chief executive, Lawrence Gosden, an 80% pay increase, resulting in a £1.4 million salary. Following The Guardian's report on this significant increase, Environment Secretary Steve Reed publicly called on Gosden to reject the additional compensation. Southern Water maintained that the pay rise conformed to regulations, characterizing it as part of a 2-year long-term incentive plan with payment stipulations tied to environmental performance targets. Sophie Conquest, lead campaigner at We Own It, a group advocating for public ownership of water services, voiced the public's outrage at the exorbitant compensation packages awarded to private water executives. Conquest highlighted the stark contrast between these lucrative salaries and the deteriorating state of Britain's water infrastructure and environment, citing significant bill increases, persistent pollution, and the lack of new reservoir construction over 3 decades. Pay for chief financial officers also saw a 3% decrease across the 12 water companies that disclosed this data. This decline was predominantly influenced by a substantial drop in compensation for Alastair Cochrane, the former chief financial officer of Thames Water, whose pay decreased from £1.3 million to £636,000 as the company neared financial collapse. Excluding Thames Water, however, CFO pay rose by an average of 7% during the year. Severn Trent's Live Garfield emerged as the highest-paid water executive, earning £3.3 million during the fiscal year. At the opposite end of the spectrum, David Hinton of South East Water received £456,000, significantly higher than the £270,000 salary of the head of the NHS. This disparity further fuels the debate surrounding executive compensation in the water sector. Luke Hildyard, executive director of the High Pay Centre, an organization campaigning against excessive executive pay, proposed capping water company salaries at 10 times the earnings of the lowest-paid employees. Hildyard highlighted the public's difficulty in reconciling the numerous financial, environmental, and customer service failures within the water industry with the consistently high executive compensation packages. A government spokesperson responded to the criticism by emphasizing the ban on undeserved bonuses and the ring-fencing of customer bills to ensure investments in infrastructure improvements. The government stressed its commitment to tackling any attempts to circumvent these new rules. A spokesperson for Water UK, an industry lobby group, countered that executive pay is independently determined and adheres to government regulations, highlighting the industry's commitment to significant investments in infrastructure.